global fundraising and resource generation campaign to raise donations for computers and laptops for financially challenged UP students. Kaagapay is consistent with our Filipino values of damayan or pagtutulungan. UP as Kaagapay is a testimony to its true nature as a public service university. You as Kaagapay evidences your commitment to and partnership with the university's values of honor and excellence and its mission to serve the people with utak at puso. Supporting learning needs of UP students today in order to achieve their dreams tomorrow.
Bilang isang proud Isko, ang pariralang para sa bayan ay hindi lamang mga salitang walang saysay, kundi isang gabay sa pamumuhay.
Ngayong panahon po ng pandemya, marami pong Isko at Iska ang nangangailangan po ng inyong tulong. Nangangailangan po sila ng mga laptop,
computers at internet connection upang makalahok sa remote learning education.
Tulungan po natin sila na matupad ang kanilang mga pangarap.
Na maipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral o di kaya'y makapagtapos na upang makapag-ambag sa ating bansa.
Sama-sama,
tulong-tulong, ambag-ambag. Walang iwanan. Kaagapay ako ng UP.
Friends, supporters, and kapwa Isko at Iska all over the Philippines. And for those joining us in the other time zones, mabuhay po kayo. We are glad that you could join us today via Zoom. We are also live streaming on the TVUP YouTube channel and the UP System Facebook page. Welcome to the launch of Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral, a global fundraising and resource generation campaign by the University of the Philippines to provide laptops, computers, and internet connection to financially challenged UP students. Ladies and gentlemen, our Board of Regents, UP System and UP officials, presidents of our Alumni Association chapters, our champions in the legislative branch and government agencies, our partners in non-governmental organizations, our media friends, and our friends in various institutions, thank you for taking your time to show your support to UP Naming Mahal. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the following. We would like to acknowledge the presence of some of our guests who are watching us online. They include the following. Executive Vice President Ted Arbosa, Vice President for Academic Affairs Cynthia Rose Banzon Bautista, Vice President for Planning and Finance Lisa Grace Bersales, Vice President for Administration Nestor Yunque, Secretary of the University and of the Board of Regents, Bobby Lara, UP Cebu Chancellor, Attorney Liza Coro, UP Visayas Chancellor, Ricardo Babaran, UP Open University Chancellor, Melinda de la Peña Bandalaria, UP Alumni Regent, Ray Lacerna, Student Regent, John Isaac Punzalan. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of our UPAA presidents watching us from all over the world, as well as UPAA New York President Dr. Carmencita Fulgado, UPAA Central California President Rolando G. Simeon, UPAA General Los Angeles President Ethel Rubio, UPAA San Francisco President Sonia Delen, UPAA Singapore President Janelle P. Santillan Saludades, IPINHF President Gloria Smitka, UP Nevada President Dorothy Lenore Laniza Tome, UPAA DC Maryland Virginia President Ms. Jessie Walgaramotti, and UPAA New Jersey past President Nelsie Parado, as well as UP Alumni Association of America President Daisy Rodriguez. We'd also like to acknowledge UPA Toronto President Engineer Alice B. Herrera, as well as UPA Davao Chapter President Dr. Roberto Puentes Pina, UPA Camarines Sur Chapter President Melissa Borromeo Bulaong, as well as UPA Baguio North Luzon Chapter President Lilia Bautista, and the UP College of Mass Communication Alumni Association President Malu Choa Fagar. Thank you very much for watching. We truly appreciate your assistance in making sure that all UP students have equal opportunities for success and they be given equity and support so that each and every student will reach their full potential. We will be acknowledging more people during the course of the program, but today we strive for accessible and inclusive education in the time of COVID-19. To give the welcome remarks, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a remarkable woman whose tireless spirit is behind the efforts in putting all the resources together in order to mount this very ambitious campaign. She understands that UP students are already marginalized before the pandemic hit our shores and are placed even more at risk due to lack of access to digital devices and reliable internet connection. However, she manages to use this unique opportunity to instill Filipino values of damayan at malasakit sa kapwa, as well as to cultivate a culture of philanthropy. Please welcome the UP Vice President for Public Affairs, Dr. Elena E. Pernia.
Gusto kong bumati ng isang magandang araw o magandang gabi sa lahat ng ating mga kasama ngayon. Malugod namin kinakatuwa na pinaunlakan ninyo ang aming imbitasyon na maging isang kaagapay sa pag-aaral ng mga iskolar ng bayan dito sa Universidad ng Pilipinas. On behalf of the UP President Danilo Concepcion and officials of the UP system, I bid you a warm welcome to this morning's launch of Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral, our fundraising initiative to raise resources for the computer and internet connectivity needs of our financially challenged students. In the period PC or BC, pre-COVID or bago magka-COVID, we would have invited you all to any one of the beautiful green campuses of the University of the Philippines for an event like this. But as you are well aware now, there is a new normal. In this age of the coronavirus, physical distancing, personal hygiene practices, government-imposed restrictions and sanctions impinge on our most mundane daily activities. For the new normal of everyday life, we no longer shake hands nor hug. Doing religious worship, pursuing wellness, leisure, and entertainment, all these things we used to do have changed. And so it is with teaching and learning. In truth, educational institutions from basic to tertiary levels have already been employing some form of online learning. COVID-19 just speeded up this educational transformation in our country and in the world. At the UP, planning had already begun on how students can continue learning despite class suspensions due to natural hazards, disasters, or social and political eventualities, even before the COVID-19 pandemic. So now that the UP is blending various modes of remote learning, each UP student will need to have a computer and internet access. Hence this campaign. Our goal for Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral is for our financially challenged UP students to have computers, internet connectivity to use in remote learning. Next slide, please. We have an estimated 60,000 students enrolled across the UP system. 2/3 of these, or about 39,000, are in the undergraduate level. 18,000, or a third, are in the graduate school. And a smattering, 2,800, are basic education students. Next slide, please. Of this number, we estimate, based on historical data, that 1,600 students do not have any resources for computers and internet connectivity at all. And we expect that because of income reductions due to the pandemic, another 4,000 students will experience difficulties in acquiring computers and internet connectivity. Next slide, please. Hence, Kaagapay, being alongside, hand in hand. As used in our resource generation campaign, the term Kaagapay is consistent with our Filipino values. What is stressed in the campaign is partnership or engagement of everyone: students, faculty, staff, alumni, interest groups, associations, profit and non-profit organizations, micro, small, large businesses, government and non-government institutions, who can come to the support to become kaagapay of UP's financially challenged students. Two sunflowers side by side in support of each other is the symbolic icon of Kaagapay, evoking the values of mutual support and readiness to help. There are many ways to be a Kaagapay. We will receive in-kind donations of pre-owned, nearly new computers and laptops, which may be sent to designated offices within the UP system. Next slide, please. We will receive also monetary gifts in any amount, whether these are one-time or recurring donations. And donors may choose from various donation packages and payment gateways for their convenience. Next slide, please. The Kaagapay Fund needs to be sustainable, as the numbers of financially challenged and financially vulnerable students are expected to increase, given the social and economic crisis brought upon by COVID in the Philippines and in the rest of the world. As we said, donations in kind and in cash are most welcome. For donations in kind, you can send them to pre-designated offices in any of our campuses in the university system, in our university. Meanwhile, monetary gifts may be in any amount. Gifts of 100 pesos to 10 million, whether given as one-time or recurring donations, are much appreciated. Consequently, the gifting packages in Kaagapay donation gateways begin in those amounts. Next slide, please. We have tried our best. Next slide, please. We have tried our best to make donating a simple process. Next slide, please. I want to show you our kaagapay.up.edu.ph, which is now live and ready to accept your donations. Next slide, please. There are instructions throughout the website as you scroll down and use your finger to click. Next slide, please. We will accept your donations, your gifts in any way, whether it is to the website or should you wish, and if you can, come over to the university and give it to us physically. You can go over to your banks and hand it over the counter. Then we are also utilizing online banking and e-wallets. Have I convinced you that it is now easy to donate to Kaagapay? These are the account names and the account numbers, which will be in our Kaagapay website. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Apart from this donation giving, Kaagapay wishes to develop a spirit of philanthropy among our constituents, peers helping peers. So we invite philanthro-teens as well as philanthro-adults to be engaged as resource generators. Ito ang aming hiling, na tayo ay sama-sama, tulong-tulong, ambag-ambag, maging kaagapay ng Iskolar ng Bayan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elena E. Pernia, UP Vice President for Public Affairs, will be showing a video clip of a student who comes all the way from Coronadal, South Cotabato, and a member of the UP track and field team.
Magandang araw po ulit. Ako nga pala si Patrick G. Pabulayan from College of Human Kinetics. Magsa-second year na sa susunod na semester.
The video clip you have just watched is a snippet about one of many UP students affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Magid Kasalamat, Patrick, who's watching us live from Coronadal, South Cotabato. Please support Patrick and others like him with hashtag Kaagapay UP. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of UP Manila Chancellor Carmencita Padilla. And again, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the past UP AAA President Nelsie Parado and the current President Daisy Rodriguez. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. They're watching us all the way from the United States. The Philippines is uniquely situated along the Pacific Rim of Fire and the typhoon belt in the Pacific Ocean region, which makes it susceptible to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, typhoons, and other natural disasters. It is in this regard that our next speaker spearheaded a crusade to provide continuous learning opportunities for our students when faced with class suspensions. She takes her job to prepare the best and brightest students from across the country for successful careers and responsive citizenship seriously. Please welcome the UP Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Cynthia Rose Banzon Bautista. So we are waiting for Dr. Cynthia Rose Banzon Bautista to deliver her opening remarks.
Honorable members of the Board of Regents, UP President Danilo Concepcion, UP officials, distinguished officers of the different UP alumni associations, colleagues, and friends. Thank you for joining us in the launching of UP's Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral campaign for computers and connectivity for our financially challenged students. The new coronavirus upended the world as we know it. It caught the global academic community by surprise, thrusting it into uncharted territory and compelling us to move to the next normal in providing learning opportunities for students. As Vice President Pernia noted earlier, even before the COVID-19 pandemic came to our awareness, UP was already planning how UP students can continue learning despite class suspensions due to natural hazards, disasters, or unexpected social and political events. Anticipating many such suspensions in today's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, the pre-COVID-19 UP system plan entailed strategies to accelerate changes in pedagogies and assessment and provide students course packs at the start of every semester to facilitate independent learning as a value in itself, but most especially to make up for disruptions in the learning process, among other strategies. For UP and other universities in the country and the world, the COVID-19 pandemic served to further catalyze an ongoing global higher education transformation. Last month's meeting of the presidents of the Asia-Pacific Rim Universities, or APRU, the network of leading research universities in the Asia-Pacific region, of which UP is the only member from the Philippines and one of 5 members from ASEAN. That meeting shared strategies to address the challenges of the pandemic. The meeting affirmed actually the needed changes in education that have been the subject of meetings of APRU university presidents and senior officials in the last 3 years. Changes that include flexible curricula, customized minors, the leveraging of immersive technologies, and the mix of face-to-face, virtual, immersive, and experiential learning. Interestingly, the Chronicle of Higher Education cites this mix of delivering learning and teaching, together with applying concepts to research projects and internships, and alternating between independent and collaborative teaching as the best tactic for a new technology-savvy generation with a very short attention span. The changes UP is now carrying out faster than before because of the pandemic have long been overdue. Since the 1990s, the paradigm of education has shifted from education to learning, from learning to lifelong learning, from knowledge-based to competence-based instruction, from input-based to learning outcomes-based education, from teacher-dependent to more guided independent learning. The paradigm shift from education to learning is a profound shift to the individual learner, because learning, while it may be done collectively, at the end of the day is an individual process. Why shift to learning? Because rapid technological and social changes make it imperative for educators to help individuals adapt to the evolving requirements of the labor market and better master the changing time frames and rhythms of individual existence. Why the need to help individuals adapt or cope? Because of disruptive changes in the wake of technological and social developments. The fourth industrial revolution, for instance, which was the favorite focus of last year's conferences in the country and abroad. Climate change, pandemics, all of them abstractions that have now become part of our reality. Against the pre-COVID global changes in higher education and the COVID reality we are now experiencing, we have a few key messages. One, a positive way of looking at this pandemic that is wreaking havoc in our lives it forces us to begin making the paradigm shift to lifelong learning. Two, given this paradigm shift, we can no longer return to a teacher-dependent, primarily face-to-face lecture-based learning. Three, even when we are back on campus and life normalizes, our next normal will be a mix of face-to-face, virtual, immersive, and experiential learning, using 21st century modes of learning that are problem-based, competence-based, and design thinking. Four, in the first semester, remote learning will be our norm, except for very few courses, such as courses in the wide professions like medicine, that will have to blend face-to-face and remote learning, of course, following very strict health protocols. Remote learning is an opportunity for students and teachers to remain connected and engaged with course content while working from their homes. It covers both asynchronous and synchronous learning, asynchronous and synchronous merely referring to the interaction between teachers and students in real time or not in real time. While remote learning need not be online, and UP will provide course packs in USBs or printed form for students in areas with no signals or with poor connectivity, so that they can use the USBs in their own computers or download material from learning platforms whenever they are or wherever they are able to connect. Planned and implemented well, the quality of remote learning is equal to, if not better in some respects, to the usual lecture-dependent learning, although studies show that the blending of different modes of delivery are said to lead to better student performance than either face-to-face or remote. And the future for UP is really going to be blended. Our hope is for inclusive learning. The operational principles underlying UP's academic plans in the time of COVID underscore not just protecting our community from the pandemic and sustaining the continuity of instruction and learning, but equity concerns, especially in our highly unequal society. This campaign is an integral part of our preparations for remote learning and even for blended learning modes in the future. It is a much needed initiative in the second of UP's 5 pillars of preparation. The first pillar is our academic infrastructure. We are piloting the implementation of an in-house developed library services platform and discovery service in the first semester of 2020-2021 to replace our existing library management system that will feature a union catalog of print and electronic resources of all our libraries in the system and a centralized patron database. We are subscribing to more databases and collections for all CUs and for the entire system. We are subscribing to a remote access platform in each CU in the cloud so that we do not burden our servers. We are subscribing to a learning management system to supplement existing learning management systems of UP in 4 of our 8 universities. We're projectizing the upgrade and enhancement of our UP Moodle-based learning management system so that eventually in the future, we can all migrate to it. And we are curating and making local and international online educational services available, among other academic infrastructure that we are laying down. Physical infrastructure, we're maintaining an institutional subscription to Zoom for faculty meetings, webinars, and synchronous classes, as well as for student meetings and virtual get-together. Providing support for internet connectivity, computer loans, and/or subsidy for gadgets for our faculty and staff if they need it. Exploring the use of television and radio airwaves as alternative to the internet, especially in areas with poor signals or internet connectivity. We're providing gadgets and internet connectivity for financially challenged students. Because we expect significantly more financially challenged students, given the adverse economic impact of COVID, and because UP's resources are limited, we are compelled to generate resources from our alumni, generous partners in the private sector, and even from among the members of the UP community for student computers and connectivity. Our third pillar is operationalizing and managing our remote learning. The Board of Regents has approved in principle the shortening of the semester to 14 weeks from 16 without sacrificing quality, and are opening in September instead of August for this year alone, subject to student consultations, which were already done 2 weeks ago. We have redesigned our programs in the coming year for remote learning for each year level, so that as much as possible, courses requiring laboratory work or that require laboratory work beyond the virtual laboratory apps, studios, OJT, fieldwork are moved to the second semester. Our faculty are now going through the course redesign so that course packs are prepared in time for the opening of classes. The course packs we're asking our faculty to prepare actually include a course guide with detailed syllabus of the course, learning resources, the readings, multimedia resources, video, lectures, other content resources, activity guides, assignment guides. And these course packs will be made available for students by the start of classes, uploaded in an appropriate learning management platform, in thumb drives, in print materials that we are going to distribute to our students if they are in places that are more or less inaccessible. We have revised our student support that include 4 new programs: the Learning Assistance Grants, the peer learning groups and networks mobilizing student volunteers in collaboration with our student affairs offices, the UP Pahinungod, student organizations, Padayon, a more enhanced student wellness and mental health program, and a student help and guidance. Our fifth pillar actually focuses on faculty and staff support, on their retooling requirements and competence in handling different software and apps, as well as their wellness and mental health. Let me end with a few remarks in our launching this morning. We have the audacity to call the generosity of our alumni, the private sector, and our own community, because our mission as the National University is to hone the competence of the country's future leaders in different sectors and branches of knowledge, to serve the nation and humanity with honor, excellence, and compassion. Since intelligence is normally distributed, but opportunities in this country are not, and UP's admission is highly selective, it is inevitable that a significant number of naturally bright but financially challenged students go through the portals of the University of the Philippines. We cannot allow the highly unequal structure of Philippine society to further disadvantage these students in this time of COVID, and even when the new norm is institutionalized in the future. We are aware, however, that UP cannot carry the burden of addressing the country's high level of social inequality alone, an inequality that's even more sharply manifested in the digital divide and the differential access of students to learning tools and gadgets. Neither can UP stop instruction and learning because a segment of its studentry might be left behind. For these reasons, it has become imperative for the University of the Philippines to expend its energies in tapping into the wellspring of your generosity as well as of others whom we pray will be moved by the Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral campaign to help the future intellectual elite of this country transcend the socio-economic divide that constrain the actualization of their potentials and allow them to thrive, engage, learn, and create even in times of adversity, such as this time of COVID. Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us in this journey.
Thanks very much, VP Stage Bautista. We'll be showing a video clip of a student who comes all the way from Umingan, Pangasinan, but was stranded working as a farmer in San Miguel, Bulacan.
Ako si Eugene Laganina, second year college, scholar ng Bayan mula sa University of the Philippines, College of Human Kinetics.
Maraming salamat, Eugene. And the video clip that you have just seen is a little slice from the life of our many UP students affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Please help Eugene and many more like him with hashtag #KaagapayUP. Meanwhile, we would also like to acknowledge the presence of UP Los Baños Chancellor Dino Sanchez, represented by Attorney Elena Peralta, and Assistant to the Chancellor Sue Sagigit. We also have Regent Francis Laurel watching us, as well as former Staff Regent Alex Mejia, and Bainor Hata Alonzo, as well as Becca Reliosa of Sigma Delta Phi, as well as media person, College of Mass Communication alumna Myla Reyes Roque, as well as UP Oral History Project consultant Derek Custodio, as well as Dominguito of Nowhere to Go Back UP and the entire UP Alumni Association board. Nanonood po sila sa amin. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panonood. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 pandemic posed a multitude of challenges: public health concern, political battleground, economic impact, societal problems, mental health issues, and education woes. Under the leadership of our next speaker, the UP COVID response team was immediately mobilized. The UP COVID-19 online portal was launched. The UP PGH Bayan Operations organized a webinar series on the clinical management of COVID-19 has been airing, and the entire UP system came together with COVID-19 initiatives as a testament to para sa bayan and true public service. It strikes a balance between excellence and equity, nurturing a community of learners that is diverse and inclusive. A champion for promoting access to education with honor and excellence, with compassion for public service. We are honored to have with us this morning the President of the University of the Philippines, Professor Danilo Latizabal Concepcion.
Isang mainit na pagbati po sa inyong lahat. Gawa ng pandemyang COVID-19, marami po ang nagbago nitong mga nakaraang buwan. Kabilang na ang paraan ng pag-aaral sa ating pamantasan. Kansilado po ang pisikal na pagpasok sa paaralan at lahat ay dagliang lumipat sa pag-aaral ng nasa bahay lamang gamit ang computer at iba pa nating hindi tradisyonal na paraan ng pagkakatuto. Datapwat matagal na nating napagtanto na ang institusyon, kabilang ang sistemang pang-edukasyon, ay nararapat na sumabay sa tinatawag nating digital society at information age. Tayo po sa UP ay nagsimulang bumalangkas ng mga plano para dito noon pa. Ang mga paghahanda tungo sa paglipat sa online learning ay ating pong ginagawa tuwing makakansila ang mga klase dahil sa mga sakuna, gawa man ng tao o ng kalikasan. Tulad ng bawat aspeto ng buhay ng tao ngayon, tinitingnan po ng universidad ang pandemyang ito bilang isang mabisang tagapagpausad ng mas progresibo at modernong paraan ng pagtuturo, pagkatuto, pagsasaliksik, at paglilingkod sa bayan. Gayunpaman, hindi po lingid sa ating kaalaman na tayo ay tatahak sa panibagong landas na ito, subalit sa magkakaibang antas ng pagsisimula. Ang ating pong mga mag-aaral, bagamat matatalino at mapaparaan, ay hindi po magkakatulad sa katayuang pinansyal, pribilehyo, kinaroroonan, at iba pang pangangailangan. Kanina nabanggit po ni Vice President Pernia na sa higit kumulang na 60,000 mag-aaral sa UP system, tinatayang 1,600 ang walang kakayahang bumili ng laptop o anumang uri ng computer o gadget at bumayad ng internet connection. Habang 4,000 naman ang kabilang sa tinatawag na financially vulnerable households, kung saan ang pinagsama-samang kita ng mga kasapi sa pamilya ay hindi po sapat upang tustusan ang mga pangangailangan sa pagkakaroon ng ganitong teknolohiya. Maski po may computer na kayo, may internet connection na kayo, marami pa rin pong gastos ang inyong susungin upang magamit ninyo ng tama ang inyong mga kagamitan. Sa kabuuan, tinatayang 5,600 katangi-tangi at karapat-dapat na mag-aaral ng UP ang mahihirapang sumabay sa paglipat sa online at remote learning sa pagbubukas ng klase sa September. Sa makatuwid po, 5,600 iskolar ng bayan ang nanganganib na maiwan at hindi masama sa pagtutuloy ng pag-aaral. Hindi po natin nais na itigil ang pagtuklas ng talino sa pamamagitan ng pag-aaral at pagsasaliksik. At kung may maiiwanan po, gagawa tayo ng paraan upang sila ay ating makasama. Ang maiwanan ang kahit isang iskolar ng bayan ay masakit po para sa atin. Kaya gagawa po tayo ng paraan sa abot ng ating kakayahan upang sila ay ating maiangkas at mabitbit sa ating pag-usad. Ito po ang layunin ng kampanyang inilulunsad natin ngayon. Kaagapay UP. Ang kaagapay sa pag-aaral ng mga iskolar ng bayan, Fundraising and Resource Generation Campaign. Naglalayon po itong makalikom ng sapat na halaga upang tulungan ang nasabing mga mag-aaral na magkaroon ng kanilang sarili laptop, personal computer o gadget at makakuha ng maayos na internet connection at ng iba pang kakailanganin na mga kagamitan sa kanilang pag-aaral. Sa inyong tulong at sa ating sama-samang pagkilos ay magagawa nilang sumabay sa mga klase at iba pang gawaing pang-akademiko, katuwang ng kanilang mga kaklase at guro sa paraang remote at online learning. Huwag po nating kalilimutan na sa bagong paraan ng pag-aaral, kailanganin din po nating itaas ang mga kagamitan ng ating mga guro, katuwang naman ng niliksik o reps at mga kawani. Sila po ay kasama natin sa pag-usad ng ating pag-aaral at pagtuklas ng talino. Hindi po siguro magiging epektibo ang ating pagtuturo, ang ating pag-aaral kung hindi po epektibo ang pagtuturo ng ating mga guro. Kaya po kasama rin sila sa tutulungan natin sa Kaagapay UP. At tutugunan po natin ang kanilang mga pangangailangan upang sila naman ay maging epektibo sa kanilang mga gawain. Sa pamamagitan ng Kaagapay UP, gagawin natin sa abot ng ating makakaya ang masigurong makatapos ang mga iskolar ng bayan sa kanilang pag-aaral. Sa mga mag-aaral na mas nakaluluwag-luwag naman sa kanilang buhay, inaasahan po natin na sila ay magiging kaagapay rin ng kanilang kapwa isko at iska sa anumang paraan, malaki man o maliit. Malaking bagay ang inyong suporta bilang mga kaklase, kasapi sa org, kasama sa koponan, kadorm o kaibigan. Magkakaagapay kayong magtatagumpay sa hamon ng pandemyang ito. Sa ating pong mga alumni at alumni chapters, na sa mulat sa pool ay tumutugon sa ating walang patid na panawagan na magbigay handog at magbalik sa pamantasang hirang, kami po ay muling kumakatok at sumasamo sa inyo. Maraming binago ang COVID-19. Ngunit hindi nito kailanman mababago ang diwa ng pagkakaisa at pakikipagkapwa sa universidad na binibigkis ng tatak UP, dangal, husay at paglilingkod. Malayong lupain inyong mang narating, hindi rin nagbago ang inyong damdamin. Di rin nagbago ang inyong damdamin para sa UP nating mahal. Bilang Pangulo ng UP, kayo po ay aking inaanyayahan na maging kaagapay ng mga iskolar ng bayan upang sila ay matulungang makapag-aral at makatapos. Anumang handog o donasyon na inyong ibibigay ay magdudulot ng malaking pagbabago sa buhay ng bawat mag-aaral na nangangailangan. At sa ating mga katuwang sa pribadong sektor, mula sa mga individual hanggang sa mga institusyon at organisasyon, inaanyayahan ko po kayong mamuhunan para sa ating kinabukasan. Bawat mag-aaral po sa UP ay kumakatawan sa mga katangiang ipinagmamalaki ng bawat Pilipino. Talino, tapang, pagkamaparaan at pagkapit sa pangarap. Ang mga mag-aaral na ito ang ating mga susunod na pinuno, siyentista, inhinyero at mga profesional na maghahawan ng bagong landas tungo sa ating kinabukasan. Sila ang magiging mga manunulat, artista, mga awit at atletang magbibigay karangalan sa ating bansa. Sila ang mga magtitimon sa mga komunidad at mga lalaban para sa katarungang panglipunan na magpapanibagong hubog sa ating lipunan. Sila ang pag-asa ng bayan na huhubog sa ating kinabukasan. Tayo sana'y maging kaagapay nila nang tayo na may maging kaagapay din ng ating bayan tungo sa magandang kinabukasan. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, mga kaagapay UP.
Maraming pong salamat, President Danilo L. Concepcion. We'll be showing 2 video clips of students who are members of the UP track and field team who come all the way from Mindanao.
Ako po si Peter Villachica, I'm freshman from South Cotabato at ang college ko ay College of Human Kinetics, which is HK po. Track and field po.
Clips are 2 of the many faces of UP students affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Please aid Sally and Peter and many more like them with hashtag Kaagapay UP. This just in, thank you very much for all those who became Kaagapays. We'd like to acknowledge the donations of UP Regent Honorable Francis Laurel, Emeritus Professor Ernesto Pernia, who is also giving us recurring donations for the next few months. We also have to acknowledge the Office of Senator and UP Regent Joel Villanueva, as well as UP Political Science alumnus Charles Ramos. We'd also like to acknowledge, to add as our Kaagapays, Attorney Harry and Myla Reyes Roque. And we also received pledges from the following: Venus and Egay Navalta, Joy Puensalido from the UP College of Mass Communication. We also have employees, especially UP alumni from a Cebu-based corporation. We also have anonymous donors from a media corporation. We also have the UP College of Mass Communication Alumni Association led by President Nalu Chowa Fagar. Maraming salamat po sa mga aming kaagapay, and thank you very much for your overwhelming support. Tulong-tulong, sama-sama, ambag-ambag, walang iwanan, tayong lahat ay tunay na kaagapay ng UP. To formally close our program, we would like to call on our alumni regent, Honorable Reynaldo C. Lacerno, for a few words.
Thank you, Wendell. It is noteworthy that UP had already begun planning on how UP students can continue learning despite class suspensions due to natural hazards, disasters, or social and political eventualities, even before the outbreak of the COVID-19 epidemic. The groundwork has thus been laid for a global fundraiser and resource generation campaign through this well-conceived Kaagapay sa pag-aaral ng mga iskolar ng bayan. The UPAA was originally scheduled to host the 2020 UP General Alumni Homecoming in August with the jubilarian classes Diamond 1960, Golden 1970, Ruby 1980, and Silver 1995. However, we have been constrained to postpone the homecoming indefinitely in view of the COVID-19 protocols. Nevertheless, we have adopted a 2020 jubilarian theme for our special yearbook to express the alumni's reinvigorated concern and compassion for others in these perilous times. Bagong paglingap ngayon at sa hinaharap. Di Kaagapay sa Pag-aaral campaign opens up the opportunity for UP alumni to translate the 2020 jubilarian theme into action. Every year, during the homecoming, it has become a tradition for the celebrating jubilarian classes to pool their resources for their gifts to UP and UPAA. With the postponement of the homecoming, they can instead channel their gifts to Kaagapay. Moreover, we have some 180 alumni chapters, both local and overseas. We will exhort them to give back to UP as donors or Kaagapay. By so doing, alumni can demonstrate our commitment to the university's values of honor and excellence, alongside the alma mater's mission to serve the Filipino people. I would like to assure the UP administration, led by Honorable Danilo L. Concepcion, that UPAA will mobilize our alumni members to be Kaagapay, as once again we demonstrate to the world the bond that ties us all, the University of the Philippines, so that we are all as one to keep UP number one. Thank you very much.
Marami pong salamat for your very inspiring words, Alumni Regent Honorable Reynaldo C. Lacerna. And thank you very much for the generosity of your time, talent, and treasure. Mabuhay po ang mga iskolar ng bayan, mabuhay ang Universidad ng Pilipinas, at mabuhay po ang bansang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Working student ako nun sa UP, kaya alam ko kung gaano kahirap ang mag-aral ng walang sapat na panggastos para sa mga pangangailangan. Madalas, wala kang mapanghahawakan, kundi ang mga pangarap mong ayaw mong bitiwan.
Naalala ko pong natapos ko ang aking college course sa gitna ng kahirapan dahil nung panahon ko, pinapayagan pa nila kaming mag-submit ng aming mga papers, short stories, mga dula at mga tula sa aming blue book sa sulat kamay. Pero iba na ang panahon ngayon. Iba na ang teknolohiya, nasabay pa sa lintik na pandemya.
Ngayong meron pong pandemya, maraming mga iskot-iska na nangangailangan ng gadget, laptop, computer, internet connection para makasabay sa remote learning education.
Maraming mga estudyante sa UP ang nanganganib na bumitaw sa kanilang mga pangarap dahil wala silang pambili ng laptops, computer at internet connections. Huwag po sana nating hayaang mangyari yon.
Bigyan po natin sila ng pagkakataong matupad ang kanilang mga pangarap na maipagpatuloy ang kanilang pag-aaral o di kaya'y makapagtapos na upang makaambag sa bansa.
Tulungan po natin sila para matupad ang kanilang mga pangarap.
Ang mga pangarap nila at ng kanilang mga pamilya ay pangarap din natin. Tulungan po natin sila.
Yung may maibibigay, magbigay. Tulungan natin silang maabot ang kanilang mga pangarap upang sa ganon ay maasahan na ng pamilya at ng bayan kapag sila ay nakapagtapos.
Sama-sama, tulong-tulong.
Tayo po ay kanilang mga kaagapay.
Tayo ay magkaagapay para sa UP.
Kaagapay po ako ng UP.
You